tuning in to the Vulcan Soapbox.
It's your show, Vulcan. Come on, man.
Welcome to the Vulcan Soapbox. We are dedicated to the principles of logic and teach you how to reason at the highest level. I am Enos, and I'm with my guys, man. Freshie Snipes and Vulcan. What's going on, y'all?
What's the deal?
What up, though?
Yeah. Got a few things we're going to talk about. Got a video for the audience. We're going to discuss some religious topics. But first, the first topic.
Hold on, I got you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All my folks out there, thanks for joining the show today.
Good voice. I like that. Good voice, man.
And I want to thank all of y'all for tuning into our show we did on Thanksgiving. It was a very fun show. We tackled a lot of controversial topics. We got some good love and support from it. The clips, especially, people had a lot of strong opinions about it, and we want to invite y'all on the show. Our email is right there at the bottom, so y'all can always feel free to shoot us questions. If you guys smoke for somebody on the panel, let us know. We want it all. The only thing is, you got to bring your A game intellectually. That doesn't mean you got to be the smartest person in the world, but you got to be ready to ask good questions and actually answer questions that you've been asked. That's been one of the main struggles, is people don't want to answer the questions they're being asked. Now, if it's a loaded question and everybody can see it's a loaded question, then okay, you good. But a lot of times it'd be a basic question and you don't want to answer it, which is an admission to the audience and the panel that you holding the L. So today's show not going to be as heavy as the Thanksgiving topics and pilgrims and Indians and colonialism and racism and all that kind of stuff. It's not going to be as heavy as that. We're going to discuss something that's still a heavy topic, but it's not going to be as much of a back and forth and a debate and stuff like that. So it's not going to be heavy in that sense. We're going to be discussing a fun topic to start it out with, which I think Enos was in the middle of introducing. And after that, we're going to get into a conversation with a rising star in the atheistic community. And we've covered one of his videos before. We're going to cover it again. And it's not so much about a disproof, but, I like what I saw Freshly doing in the last show we did about Thanksgiving. We had a guy on the show who was expressing skepticism about, Christianity and things of that nature. And interestingly enough, and Freshly probably doesn't even know, the guy referred to Freshly as a religious zealot. And so
What?
and so me and Eno spoke with them yesterday and on the phone, and I even played some of the video where y'all were dialoguing back and forth. I said, listen to what he's saying. You said contradictions. He says, that's fine. What about the fact that you're not understanding the context of the things that you're bringing up? I said, so is that him being a religious fanatic or zealot for his religion or dogma of choice? Or is that him asking you to be fair and balanced in your assessment? He's dealing with epistemology, not religion there. It just happens to be a religious conversation. But his responses would have been, Freshly's responses would have been the same if he'd been talking about apples and oranges.
Holy smoke. I don't know you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I played some of your clips, and I was like, a religious zealot wouldn't have said that. A religious zealot would have said, the Lord Jesus Christ says this. Mm-hmm. They would just reinforce their dogma, which isn't wrong with doing that. But, and I think part of it is the thing about religion, y'all can tell what you think, like whether it's in a corporate setting, whatever the case may be, if people hear religious terminology, it's automatically a religious conversation. You could say, hey, look, the guy yesterday, did he say he was Muslim? Hey, y'all talking about religion? What? Are you okay? Yeah. If I said, it's like people can't separate it in their mind. They can't categorize things properly because they get triggered by whatever their trigger is.
And trigger was the right word, because he went off on a I would consider him a zealot before I consider me a zealot.
Mm.
Yeah, I was like,
but that's neither here nor there.
He did not espouse any Christian doctrine in that situation. He didn't say that Ezekiel 36 says, or
and I did that on purpose. Yeah. I let him lead the conversation and purposely didn't bring up anything. I was just like, well, tell me about that. How do you understand that? He just wasn't able to offer me anything. He called
Yes,
me a zealot.
and yeah, we spoke with him yesterday, and I let him know. I was like, you gotta train your ears to be able to hear, because part of the issue is, like, we talked about this, and I we're gonna get into the show audience out there, but one of the things that they were debating about was you asked them, the context of the verse that you're citing, not freshly. He's citing this verse, and
Yeah,
he goes, the scholars say this, scholar says that. Look at the come to find out what the issue is. He didn't understand what context meant. He thought context meant interpretation. He thought context meant interpretation. So when you're saying, you're talking about, can you tell me the narrative? What's the setting? What's going on? What's the story?
yeah,
Three little pigs. What's the story? Well, you got three pigs and they're doing this. He's not saying what's the against the theological motif that's being, advanced in that verse. He's not asking for their interpretations. You don't need a scholar to tell you what the context is. And I think part of the problem, and that's the purpose of this show, is sometimes people don't even disagree, or we don't know if they disagree. It's a listening and understanding issue. It's a comprehension issue. It's
Yeah.
a
yeah.
patience,
Listening
patience
for
issue.
understanding issue. Like I'm not listening to respond. I want to understand what you're talking about. And he could have asked me, like, what do you mean by context? And I would have been able to explain it to him. We would have been able to be on the same page and have a productive conversation.
But well, let me say this in his defense, or back to you, because I've heard people say this before. Well, at the time, I thought I knew what you meant by context. What would you say to that?
I mean, I think that's a legitimate. I don't want to say, I don't want to call it excuses, a legitimate reasoning for being on different pages. But I think typically, and I guess that doesn't make sense. Well, I mean, I don't know. I use context clues, so even if I don't understand what context meant, I'd be like, why does he keep saying that? And it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Like in my head, I'm thinking if if I use it often enough times, we can go if we go back through the video, there'll be at least 2 or 3 times where I use it in a place where interpretation doesn't make sense as a definition of context. Where it's just
yeah,
like that don't make no sense. And even if he calls me out on that, like that don't even make sense where you're using it right there. Then we can be like, what do then we can have a conversation like, what context doesn't make sense? Like we have those type of conversations all the time on the show where we get down to the, into the weeds to kind of discover and get on the same page. Um, so, and I mean, I don't know. I suppose just
I think
before you get into these types of environments and conversations.
I think when you're having these type of intellectual discourses, at times, and I've been guilty of this, it's like you're in a battle. So a lot of times when you're battling for your ideologies to be displayed or what you believe in, you're not taking the time to really understand the person because you in it to win, to win the debate. So
Right.
a lot of people not going to ask those questions because it's intensity, it's fast paced, it's like it's a battle. It's not
and I think this to me is again part of the spirit of the show, and why I thought the show would be good for the world is because when I watch a lot of debates, people are so lost in the sauce, they don't even see what's going on.
Yeah,
There's
when you're in it.
What's up, Brad? What's the deal, baby? So when people are having a debate, a lot of times they're so lost in the sauce, they don't realize he's not even rebutting you.
Mm-mm.
You say the sky is green, and he goes, why do you say the sky is green? They're in fight mode. He did not rebut you. You don't have to be defensive.
To be honest with you, I actually gave you more of an opportunity to prove your point.
Absolutely right. Giving you, but now if he would
Gave
have
you
said
more-
the sky's not green, it's blue. Okay, now we're starting to get into a cross examination or a battle, whatever you want to say. But just somebody asking you a question about why you saying what you're saying, or do you understand the context, or do you understand my point? You need not think that you're already in some type of debate. It hasn't started yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you
haven't
also
got
have
there
to
yet.
have to realize that when you're debating, especially in the intellectual environment, a lot of times the goal should be understanding.
Mhm.
Like my goal is to understand where you're coming from. It doesn't always have to be a competition, right? This can oftentimes be a debate, can oftentimes be an opportunity to further your knowledge, to expand your knowledge base. Will might have, if he had have kind of gotten out of just fighting me, he might have been able to provide me with some information that I didn't have before that I could go back to, to the writing, to the drawing board and kind of consider. Now that may not happen often, but the goal is, which is why I ask questions, to understand the perspective of the other person. And if you're listening to rebut, if you're listening to fight back, we can't have a productive conversation because you've already assumed that you know what my stance is, and I haven't even stated it myself.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when you hoop and somebody you know those moments where I know y'all guys are never had to deal with this, but somebody pass you the ball and you already know what you're about to do with it before you get it, so you take off without the ball or you drop the pass, you like because you saw it opening already and you just take off.
You was making a move before you had the rock.
Yeah, exactly. And so
you
I think
missed the
that's a
whole
lot of times
pass.
what happened.
Yeah, that's a good
I'm not the biggest phrase when people say things like you're listening to respond, because I am listening to respond, but I'm listening to respond with an apt response.
Well, the qualifier would be just to respond.
Yeah. You're just to respond.
You're listening just to respond. You're not. Really, you're just waiting for me to stop talking so you can say your thing.
And that's why I see, especially the debates in our culture, you notice that at times it's different from other cultures. It's what we say in the intellectual arena when you see people debating on college campuses, and you notice they are operating under some rules of engagement. You see they actually reverence those rules. It's a little different when you see it in our culture. It's just I'm gonna say whatever what I'm thinking. I'm gonna get all this out my head, and then hopefully the person responds.
Yeah, and even when it comes to, and I hate to keep nitpicking, but every time y'all both are speaking, it's reminding me of things I've always wanted to bring up on the show. Like when you say an intellectual conversation, or we did the breakdown with Marquette Devon Burton with Cooley when we started talking about logic is good for academic conversations. But, but and then Cooley was like, it's really useless in a regular conversation. I don't really believe that's true. Now, obviously, when we're at work, we're at the gym. When people say ridiculous things, even in casual conversations, we still look at them as being like they lose points. Like when people are arguing LeBron James and LeBron who's better, and then somebody says, "Well, Jordan shoes is better," we're thinking in our head like, "I hope he's just making a joke."
Right? Because what does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're already writing them off in your head. Like I'm not talking to this guy about sports.
Yeah. or I might talk to him, but just for entertainment purposes.
This dude don't know what he's saying. Yeah, Brad said is Mike.
Enjoy.
Just so y'all know where Brad stays at. It's Mike. All right.
Brad, you got to come on. Brad, you got to come on one day and we can talk about your book. We can support your book.
Oh yeah, definitely come on and plug the product, man.
Yes, sir. All right, we can go ahead and get into it, fellas. Let's go ahead and get into the topic. We can do the more fun topic, and then we can go into the
I go ahead and I'll pull it up. I'll pull it over.
You gonna intro this?
Okay, I guess. Right. Yeah, go ahead.
So what we're looking at right here, to give context, is who at this table got to get up for Tom Cruise to have a seat. We got Sylvester Stallone, we got Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, we got Keanu Reeves, we got Jason Statham, The Rock, and Denzel. Who at this table
is the low man?
To get up. There's a low man who has to get up and let Tom Cruise sit down. Vulcan, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go first.
Go first.
Well, yeah. So
I'm gonna say something as well.
Yeah. So for me, there's really only one debate here, and it's debate between The Rock and Jason Statham.
That's what I was saying.
How in the world?
And so for me, it's a tough one. Because what I first had to do, first I will get into it. But
you was gonna be long. I should just went first. I could just be short.
Yeah. So for me, it's gonna be a debate out of Jason Statham and The Rock. And if I had to just pick, I'm probably gonna tell The Rock he's got to get up. Now I ain't gonna tell him myself because he's like 6'3", 6'4", steroids and everything like that.
Yeah.
But he
with a death wish.
Yeah. He little pebble, when he leaves.
Go ahead, what you got?
Jason. I'm going Jason.
All right, so this is a table full of action stars. Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis. They don't do nothing but action. They can't get up. They're not getting up. Right? That's all they do. That's what they're known for. Every movie that come out about them, the majority of their movies are action. You have to put The Rock in that same category. What dramatic acting has The Rock done that's not action?
I can't call
All
Keanu
his
Reeves.
movies,
I can't call Keanu Reeves an action star. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
no, I agree with you. So earlier, what I said is it's only between Keanu and Denzel because they both have dramatic roles that are not action. They both got into action like late in life, but they also both have two of the biggest action franchises of all time, John Wick and the Equalizer. But even if you go back into Denzel's catalog, his like last like 12 movies have all been like shoot 'em up action bangers, like Man on Fire, Two Guys, Out of Time, like all those like
Man on Fire. Like I would consider Denzel an action star.
but well that's what I'm saying, but the majority of his stuff is not action.
Yeah.
And he has
Wrong.
iconic, impactful movies where he has Malcolm
Anybody
X.
younger than us looks at him as an action star.
That's true. But by the same token, how can you consider The Rock anything other than that?
Exactly.
How can you consider The Rock anything other than an action star? All he does is action movies. How do you have a dramatic actor who does action, i.e., Tom Cruise, unseat a full-on action star?
Well, let me say this. I didn't take it action. When I saw this, my mind didn't go action, just for the record. My mind went to who's the low movie guy? Who's the one who is the guy who is the not on their in their category? I'm sorry, I'm stumbling on my words. Who's the one who doesn't fit the category? As far as like prestige,
I didn't think
accomplishment would be action, right?
I thought accomplishments and movies.
Better movies. Jason Statham, man. He's the least.
What I'm saying. Because if you're going to do accomplishments, you got to think about The Rock before he even got into movies. You got to consider the wrestling career.
I'm not considering that.
Yeah, no one's considering the wrestling career. It's just some man.
All right. Yeah, Fast and
Don't get me
Furious.
wrong. I grew up on it. I respect it. But I'm just saying I can't. I'm not going to factor it in at that table.
All right, so we're just going to do it with movies.
We'll just do it with movies. Here's the thing though. If we're just going on pure movies, how do we even put Sylvester Stallone in the same category on the same table as a Denzel Washington? Denzel Washington is a real actor.
Yeah,
Stallone can't be at the same table as Denzel.
Yeah, when
Washington.
you talk about acting, if we just talk about movies, Sylvester, Rocky. I mean, these movies are legendary.
Rocky, Demolition Man, and the term and Rambo's.
Rambo. Oh no, what else? The other one with the
Hey, listen, Jason Statham got a transporter, man.
Not Rambo. What's the other one?
He didn't get Transporter 2, I don't think. Did he? Didn't they get somebody else to do that? Or 3?
No, I won't say he got like the first 3. I think anything after that is not him.
Yeah. So for me, the thing about it is this. Well, yeah. So we got some comments. I don't know if you see the comments yet, but
I got you.
But yeah. So for me, oh yeah.
No, go ahead. You go ahead. I got you.
Brandon Skotak says, "Why does anyone have to get up? Because there ain't enough tables at the chair it ain't enough chairs at the table, Brad."
Yeah, and when you a big dog like that, you can't lap up. I'm sorry, Brad. These guys can't lap up.
Somebody got to go to the kids' table.
The publicist wouldn't even allow for
it. Hey, I'm with you right here. Right? It looks to me like Tom Cruise was late to the dinner. Let him stand up. Facts.
He could be late. And it's crazy.
I can't believe you.
I'm not even a Tom Cruise guy. I never watched Tom Cruise movies. Never. Edge of Tomorrow every now and then.
You ain't seen Mission Impossible?
That's wild.
Look, he makes good movies. I'm just saying. I'm gonna watch his movies are my rotation the least.
Man, one of the best movies
every year. Rocky's every year. I'm gonna watch every single Rocky every single year. If I'm scrolling through the channels and it's on, I stop.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger, I'm about to watch Jingle All the Way. Probably when I get off of this.
Yeah, you got to watch Jingle All the Way.
That's Sinbad. Stop playing with us.
Yeah, that's facts.
Bruce Willis.
So if we take that out of the realm of action movies, then I do got to go. I don't think we should be. This is an action movie. This is an action star table. The only thing they all have in common is action movies. They're okay. So the only thing that they all have in common is action movies. If it's acting or just like movies, period, then some of these people shouldn't even be at the table.
What was interesting though that Vulcan said that Keanu Reeves is not action. It, even watching Matrix,
Hold on, real
he's an
quick.
action.
John Wick
Keanu Reeves is John Wick.
and
That's
Matrix.
all you need.
That's all.
That's
That's
all,
one of the biggest
all
movies.
you need.
And
He
then
has two of the biggest action franchises of all time. We're not going to do this, Vulcan. Keanu Reeves is an
Matrix
action
changed
star.
changed Hollywood.
We're talking about Bill
Okay.
and Ted. Are y'all being serious right now? I'm
We
refused.
Hey.
we're talking
Beavis
about
and Butthead of
John
cinema.
Wick
Are we
and the
serious?
One. We're talking about Babush and One.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. We're not doing this.
You know what's crazy? A lot of
I meant to say Baba Yaga. My fault. Not Babush.
a lot
Baba
of
Yaga.
the white guys I asked, they said Denzel might have to get up.
I
What do I think that is?
I was thinking because can you name trying to think of top 5 movies that was just pure action that Denzel was like not a hint or slant to a drama. It's just a full action movie like Rambo. Arnold Schwarzenegger played it with The Running Man or The Predator. Can you name 5 movies?
What do you mean
on
a
that
hint
level?
of drama?
More
What do you mean?
like,
What do you mean by that? Define that.
more it's a drama and there's some action in it. So it's like a
Oh,
drama. I say a hint of drama, so it's better to say it's a drama movie, but it has action in it.
yeah, Book of Eli, fire
Yeah.
action movie. Man on Fire, The
Mhm.
Equalizer, all of them.
The Equalizer,
He had,
that's action, yeah.
he had Two Guns with Mark Wahlberg. Um, he had Safe House. That's all action. Did I say Out of Time? We cannot count Out of Time.
Now,
Don't forget we got comments, y'all. To come
Out
in.
of Town is actually one of my favorite movies, but that's a good point. The
Man on
movies
Fire
you named.
is gonna do it. Fallen is my movie every single time.
What about The Hurricane? No, I take that out. Even though it was all that action, but
This is
I don't.
the hurricane. He's a boxing. That's action.
Yeah.
But it's not. That's
He was
a.
in jail most of the
That's more
time, though.
civil rights. Like, yeah,
Hey,
that's
nobody
not.
get more action
I
with
don't
the guy
think
in
it's an
jail.
action movie.
Unfortunately,
When I think action, especially when I think
He was in Gladiator.
I think like Wesley Snipes really fighting. This is just he's like close to like John Wick. It's cool when he's fighting. It's not sweating. Rambo and
Yeah, that means you were really good at fighting.
yeah, that's
okay.
what I'm
Let me
saying.
say this. This is my issue with Denzel action, right? Is that he doesn't even look in shape. That's my issue with Denzel.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you right
you
now.
know what? Like,
There's
what's
not.
the guy that played?
There's so many people out here with a pot belly who could kill you with ease. You have no idea, bro.
That's not
You know
the
how many
point.
retired. You know how many retired sales can end you without breathing hard.
That's not the point. Let's go through this based off of what Freshly said this table's about. How does Stallone show up in an action movie? I'll wait.
Cut
How
Bill
does Arnold
chest out.
Schwarzenegger show up in an action movie? I'll wait. Bruce Willis, he's not overweight in the action movie. He don't have no
He's
cuts,
fighting though,
but he's not overweight. Keanu Reeves, trim, slim. Tom Cruise, not super muscular, but very much in shape. Jason Statham, we don't even got to get into all that. The Rock, come on now. And then you got the most obese action hero at that table is who? Let's keep it a stack.
He's hold on now. We're just talking about The Equalizer, right? This is old man action.
Book of Eli.
This is
and he was
the
blind.
Book of Eli.
He was out of shape and blind.
And cold. And cold.
And old, yeah.
What are we talking about? He was out of shape, blind, and cold.
I'm just saying he's out of shape in his movies. Even in Man on Fire in that suit, he looked like an egg. Let's be honest about this, fellas.
Nah, you doing too much right now.
I'm just saying how it is.
He had on a big. Come on, man. Y'all being. You know what?
That's a good point. Like these guys, the guys,
It's not
three
a
of these
good
guys
point.
are like
It's a terrible
bodybuilders.
point. So you can't be an action star if you're not cut.
I love Man on Fire, fellas. Just so for the record, I love it. But and this goes to a bigger question that I've asked many times in the past. I was like, black people don't have a lot of action stars. Think about it. Expendables, they're putting Terry Crews in there. He's a C-level actor who's great, but he's a C-level actor.
You said great, but C-level.
The only action hero we ever really had was Wesley Snipes.
And you gotta give Will Smith too, though. Globally, Will Smith is action.
That's a good point.
Dang, that's another look at Vulcan. Like, I gotta go in this one. Come on, man. Globally, now Wesley Snipes.
Listen, Steven Seagal is an action star. Steven Seagal ain't never been in nothing but action movies, and Steven Seagal has been out of shape since the 80s.
He's a real. He's a corrupt. He
when was
kung fu?
Will
what does that have to do with anything?
Serious actor in action.
He's a real fighter. Like he fights for real. Like in real life.
He doesn't. He doesn't. Go do your research.
Michael B. Jordan.
He doesn't.
Michael. Yeah.
Michael Jai White would have been the best thing for us.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan. I don't know if he's an action star.
I mean, Creeds. I mean, he's got like 30,000 Creeds now. That might throw him, slip him in there now.
No. No. I don't even. Listen, those are Rocky movies with a different actor. I don't get what you say. That's a Rocky movie.
What did Chris Rock say? They call him Creed. I call him Black Rocky.
Basically, what Vulcan's saying, Denzel is like, what's the guy that played Taken? The white guy in there, beating up everybody. What's the actor name?
Eddie.
That's old man action though.
Yeah, Brian.
That shows you can still be cold. Oh, so you're saying Taken is not an action movie?
No, but I'm saying what Vulcan is saying. It wasn't believable when you watching him fight. You're like, this is not realistic at all.
Don't do that. He was not out of shape and Taken.
How do you know? You just saying he wore clothes that hid how out of shape he was.
He was wearing regular jeans.
Yeah, he didn't have a gut. He's tall. He was trim.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Denzel gets obese in the face.
Denzel is old.
You know how old that dude is from Taken? Liam Neeson. He's in his 70s.
Yeah, Liam Neeson ain't eating good at home.
Anderson.
Liam Neeson ain't eating good at home. He ain't eating black dinner.
So yeah, I think the reason why a lot of my white people that I asked about the Denzel is because he does a lot of black cinema. Like Malcolm X is probably my favorite movie of his. Hey, trying to get black names. I think he does a lot of black cinema. Samuel Jackson is a good one too, and he ain't fit. Yeah.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, yeah, that's the thing. Denzel doesn't look in shape in those movies. We got to be honest.
So that's what disqualifies him.
No, my point is just saying, like, if we're talking about action stars, it's got to be believable. He put that little watch on with 30 seconds or whatever. It's like, come on.
No, but this is what I'm saying.
Who's out of breath?
The thing is, this is what I'm trying to tell you. It's more likely that a dude built like Denzel can do that stuff than it is.
Again.
Yeah, but it's less likely than all the other guys on the table.
Yeah.
I'm willing to tell you,
bro. Run your mouth. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's not.
Rock. Man, come on.
How many special ops guys have y'all dealt with?
Pause.
Have y'all been in contact?
I'm not judging, but pause.
How many people do y'all know that have killed somebody with their hands? Ballpark it.
I'm not a snitch.
Vulcan, we had shows on this. That's not even how that works. Stop that. You got to name names. I'll just ask you for a number.
Yeah. What do you say? Say a name when you gossiping.
Chatty Pat. He ain't saying no name, just numbers.
Yeah. We can go to the next one if I got some more on this. We can get into it.
Oh yeah, y'all gonna ignore my question?
Oh no, what's the question?
I'm putting in for my expertise about what's more realistic.
To me, that doesn't matter. It's a genre. There's a certain stereotype. There's a certain archetype for the genre.
How would Steven Seagal and Liam Neeson exist?
Steven Seagal was when we were like 6 years old. Come on, man.
He's an action star. He's as much of an action star in
He
those
hasn't been an action star since he did a movie
Sylvester
with Tupac.
Stallone was.
Come on.
No, I think you mean DMX. Get your life together.
Freshly, he has a ponytail. Why are we having this conversation right now?
Nah, bro, that dude's an action star. He only been in action movies, dog, with the slow gigs.
Now, if you just said Chuck Norris, okay.
Don't listen, Chuck Norris. Everybody at this table got to get it for Chuck Norris.
Steven Seagal was never believable. Let's be honest. But he fights in the.
According to Enos, he's the only one who does it for real.
Well, I didn't say only, but he does. I heard
Steven Seagal in real life.
He's a known hoax. No, he's a known hoax.
Oh,
that's what I was telling Enos.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I heard Michael John White say
no, that. Hold on, real quick. He's not a hoax. It's the martial art that he does, that he is a proficient in, which is not a hoax. It's just not really a combat martial art, but it is a martial art.
He's been choked out by people. Like there's stories on the Joe Rogan podcast where they talk about, like, he was like, put me in a headlock, I can get out of it. He starts turning blue.
Yeah, I see.
They say
he was hitting people for real.
He did some poop on himself when he got choked out.
Like, you know how in China they have like the crane and the tiger. He was doing the possum. Like, just go lay on the floor, act like I'm dead because I'm passed out. Oh man.
Come on, hey, but it is hey, that doesn't matter because we're talking about a genre. He's an action star by the genre. He don't do dramatic movies. He only does movies where he's kicking in the lower abdomen.
But why'd you pick? I don't think you gave a definitive case of why you picked The Rock, Vulcan.
I keep saying I'm ready to change topics, but okay.
Man, you got to escape this one.
Yeah, good. Yeah, don't escape.
You gonna keep
why I picked The Rock? Okay, yeah, I'll say why I picked The Rock. I picked The Rock because there's no Rock movie, or maybe there's one Rock movie, if I really thought about it, that I'm actually ever going to go back and watch again. And there's not more than 2 or 3. Jason Statham movies are never A+ movies, but they're guy movies that you watch at home and you get exactly what you're looking for.
Action.
You get action straight all the way through.
But this, okay, so just to clarify, we're taking it back out of the realm of action movies, right?
It's gonna. What I'm saying, well, all his movies are action. I'm saying his movie's gonna last longer. The Rock's had bigger movies for sure, but how many of y'all have that in y'all's yearly rotation? Those movies, they're not in yearly rotations. You watch them once, good movie.
I might not even finish a lot of Rock movies. I don't even finish them.
Man, stop. The Rock was in Scorpion King. Let's get out of here, all right?
Yeah, that's one I didn't finish.
Yeah,
you finished Scorpion King?
Him in the ponytail. I never believed it. The forehead, they couldn't do it.
Come on, man. The Rock was in Black. He Black Adam. He's in Fast and Furious.
He messed up Black Adam because he didn't want to take an L, so now they got to recast the role.
Yeah, I'm disgusted with him.
So,
and my whole thing is that means you didn't even do your research before you got into the movie. Black Adam is a villain. He loses to Captain Marvel. That's the thing. Why would you do that movie knowing that? Trash. Messed it up. He was in my opinion, he was a great Black Adam.
Yeah, I will watch. That's a good point, because with Tom Cruise, I watched the Collateral movie like over and over. If that movie's on, I'm gonna watch it. The way he handled the gun in that movie, that's one of the best gun-toting guys I've seen in the movie. Tom Cruise in that Collateral movie, man. I'm gonna watch that over and over more than a lot of the Rock
Collateral
movies.
With Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, that movie's cold.
That's a repeat for you.
Yeah, repeat.
I got a question. Your movie argument,
Hey, underrated, man. That's an underrated movie.
Yeah. All right. So if we're not talking about action movies, we just talk about movies overall. I actually have to agree then, because in my opinion, The Rock has bigger movies, but they're all like cookie cutter movies. Like The Rock don't have. You're right. The Rock don't have anything that I'm going back to watch because of The Rock. I'll put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any movie that he put out that I'm like, yo, The Rock was crazy. Now I got to go watch it again. Every other person on this panel I think made their movies, and Rock is more of a he's like a cookie cutter. I don't think anybody in this show could do anything like the type of action, the level of action that Jason Statham does. And he does have movies that I go back and watch because of him.
Yeah, I put Jason Statham movies on whenever I'm eating some food, I'm in the bed, I got the movie on, and I'm gonna be on my phone, I'm doing other things, but I still want a movie on. I'm gonna put the movie on with him because I don't need the dialogue. The fight scenes, I look up again, oh, that's cool. I go back to what I'm doing again. It's perfect.
You're looking for dialogue in Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
I didn't know when it's time to get in the chopper.
Come on, man, y'all doing too much. But yeah, I guess The Rock got to get up for Tom Cruise. Even though I'm gonna be honest with you, what movies are you going back to watch because of Tom Cruise?
He's got some bangers. The Jerry Maguire
Yeah,
that's a classic. Edge of Tomorrow is pretty decent. The Mission Impossibles are iconic; they'll never go away, and that's him all the way through and through.
Yeah, he does also.
Minority Report. People love Minority Report.
Fire! I love that movie.
So he's got some stuff that's gonna live on forever.
He's also got some weak movies. Are we counting those?
I mean, he has so many movies. You could find some weak movies, but I mean,
yeah, I think The Rock got to get up. Even though if we're just talking about movies overall, then The Rock has to get up. He has nothing as impactful as like every last one of these folks on this panel have what I would consider an iconic movie that I don't think could have been what it was without him as a lead. And I can't remember what The Rock has.
We got comments, y'all.
Yeah, because A Few Good Men. That's
Mission Impossible, Edge of Tomorrow. Yep, that's it.
A Few Good Men. That's a real good movie.
It's not an action movie though, but it is a good movie.
Yeah, really good.
Which one's not an action?
A Few Good Men.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, classic. That's.
Yeah, he said I agree. Rock has to go. Yeah.
You can't handle the truth, Jack.
And this is where the algorithm gets. This is where the formula to figure out who gets to get up, who has to get up, gets complicated. Because again, I'm not going to drive to the movie theater to see a Jason Statham movie. I will for a Rock movie, but I'm not going to probably watch that movie again. It's just that one time. Rampage with the animals. I love that movie.
What Rock movie are you driving to the theater to see?
The stuff he does with Kevin Hart's always box office. At least it used to be
in
box
the
office.
theater though. You driving to the theater?
Fast and Furious ones. Those are box office. He's got some stuff that you're gonna want to go and see. I mean, they put a lot of money behind that guy. I mean, his Kevin Hart stuff is iconic. His Mark Wahlberg stuff is iconic.
Yeah.
You're doing too much with iconic.
I mean, I think the duo between him and Kevin Hart is gonna be.
It works, but it ain't iconic. You're doing too much. Iconic. What's name one of the Kevin Hart Rock movies?
What's the Kevin Hart?
Iconic, huh? Get out of here, man.
Well, no, again, I'm not a Kevin Hart guy like that, but I'm just saying there's a lot of.
You said his movies with Kevin Hart are iconic.
Yeah, it gets a lot of buzz. It generates a lot of buzz. Because even though I don't watch the movies, their interviews go viral. Because they make fun of each other in the interviews. Their interviews their interviews on the movies go viral.
That makes them iconic, though.
Well, if their interviews are going viral, you know what I'm saying. So they're popping up all over my feed, even though I don't even watch Kevin Hart movies.
That makes it iconic, though.
Well, I'm saying if they're interviews for a movie, think about all the movies you've seen in your life. How many times have you seen interviews for those movies?
That makes them. They make a big deal about them. That doesn't make them iconic. That's all things that you're seeing before the movie comes out. Like they still got to perform. And like you said, as much buzz that they make, you're not even gonna watch those movies again. So one time, it's like iconic is like the symbol of an era. Like, this is his like masterpiece. The Rock don't have no masterpieces with Kevin Hart.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't. Yeah, that's a good question. Again, I don't watch Kevin Hart movies except maybe like the Netflix stuff. So I really can't say. I saw Get Hard probably
I don't like that.
3
Nope.
or 4 years
I immediately
after
reject that.
it came out.
He said, yeah, like
I immediately reject that.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know when
fuck.
it came out.
He's still talking. All right, introduce. Let's go ahead and get to the next videos. What next video?
When I was a young warthog.
When
Let's go
I
ahead and
was a young warthog.
introduce this. Vulcan?
Oh, you said introduce it?
Yeah, man.
Okay. So this is the video I was telling everybody about. We're gonna break it down. It's a atheist guy. I don't know what he's talking about on this yet because I don't know
More
what video
energy, man. We need the energy.
but we're gonna break it down. Let's go.
The worst. Read a room. Disgusting. And petty.
How
Do
was
better.
that petty? You talking about me?
Look, I ain't say nothing about nobody.
Nah, say a
Look at
name.
that. Look at that
Say
shoe
a name
fitting.
or
You
you
put it right
gossiping.
on.
Say your name when you gossiping.
Say a name or you gossiping.
Listen, I don't
Let's have this
subscribe.
discussion for
To
the audience.
nothing.
Look, we ain't gotta
I
do
don't
this,
subscribe
man.
to nothing that came from Dame Dash. All right, do some
Wow.
I've
When
seen
you
Throw the
decide
Rock up.
this,
I've seen Throw the Rock up a few times.
say again.
Yeah, that's Jay.
Is there? I feel like there's a delay on my end. Is there a delay?
You're delayed.
Okay, I'll hop out and hop back in.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe because both of y'all was talking at the same time, I couldn't hear. I don't think it's a delay. But since Vulcan is gone, what did you say, Fresh?
I was talking to who it was for. It's not for the audience. Whoever needed it got it.
All right. I respect
Another terrible room read.
I respect that.
Goodness gracious.
I respect that, man. So,
but yeah, man, I think that last one was. I guess the Rock got to get up. I don't really know.
I mean, agreed.
And I suppose Tom Cruise gonna seize the Rock. I don't think he's gonna see nobody else at that table though. But this dude look like a Ninja Turtle. Let's start this. All right. I don't know if I'm gonna believe anything he say. He got on a long chain with no tie and the shirt button all the way to the top with a suit. Like, what are we doing here? Let's stop this. He got BCGs. Come on, man. Clear frames. What are you doing here? If I see the dude on the street or on the internet, then I just scroll by. I'm not clicking on this video. I don't care what the caption says. I immediately discredit him because I just love with y'all.
And all this because of the bully that was taking his lunch money. Mentioned church one time, and he went ham after that.
He went crazy.
Yeah, he went crazy.
Yeah, I thought he said when he was a young minister. So at some point in time, he was a minister. So that bully took his lunch money as an adult, and that's what really broke him. So I thought this was over.
That's my tithe money.
I believe with my whole heart that every single day I was either leading people to heaven or leading them to hell. Think about that. Every word, every handshake, every sermon, it all carried eternal.
Hold all comments until the video pause.
And you could play it at like 1.25 or something like that. We could try that.
Yeah, he's a slow talker.
Yeah, maybe we might do 1.5 depending upon how it goes, but we can start 1.25, 1.35, whatever. Because
the wine around my lips.
1.25.
All right, yes, sir.
Let's go.
When I was a young minister, I believed with my whole heart that every single day I was either leading people to heaven or leading them to hell. Think about that. Every word, every handshake, every sermon, it all carried eternal weight. And I carried that weight on my shoulders. That's what religion does. It doesn't just ask you to believe something. It places you under duress. Christians today and many other religious believers are living under a fear-based framework. In the afterlife, the threat of eternal damnation, and in the present life, a God who is always watching, always judging, always ready to punish. And when they invite you into their faith, it's rarely an invitation to joy. It's an invitation to join them in their fear. That's not just
Go ahead and pause.
That's psychological coercion. That's spirit.
Yeah, so he's covering a lot of things. Now, I'm going to address the low-hanging fruit on this from an anecdotal perspective, right? So he's saying, now, somebody invites you to their faith, they're not inviting you to joy, they're inviting you to duress. That has not been my experience with people in the church. That's not when grandmama's experience been. If you go into there, people are dancing all around the place. Don't go to a Kojic church. That's not the experience. People aren't under duress in these religious situations. I don't know his situation. That's why I'm saying I'm addressing it from an anecdotal perspective, which is almost kind of useless. But as somebody who's at least experienced a good amount of Christianity in a few different places in the country, I can tell you that that's not been my experience. Is that something that y'all seen? Like, people are under duress in there, and people, when they invite somebody to believe in Jesus to come to their church, they're inviting them to duress instead of joy. Has that been y'all's experience?
In terms of newcomers and recruitment, I think Christianity is probably one of the most forgiving, the most lenient belief systems out there. Like you literally can be anybody and come into the faith.
Yeah, one of the things
They
about
come as you are is one of the most popular. Like, hey, you don't got to dress up a certain way. You don't have to just come in here. Just get in here and get under the word. So I'm not saying that his experience is invalid. I'm saying that it's not common enough to apply it to this widespread conversation.
Let's walk through. People dress up in their Sunday's best. They invite their family. They go to the service. People dance around the service. They're playing music that gives you endorphins and dopamine, so you're feeling good the whole time. Most churches today, especially, are very seeker friendly, like a Joel Osteen, a TD Jakes, so you feel good. They tell you you're amazing. You get the best parking spot, in the parking lot, and then after that, you go eat really good food. That's pretty much your church experience. Where is the duress in that? I'm not saying there's no duress in the Christian life or the religious life. And when you compare it to, like the Avatar movie is a representation of a lot of more native pagan religions that there would have been historically. They're a lot more serious. They're shedding blood. They're doing all kind of things. And those have a lot more duress. But if you think about it, generally speaking, it's not what people expect to go into a church. If I walk into a church right now, I'm expecting people to be a little bit happier than I'd prefer them to be. I'm not really an upbeat person naturally. I'm a very stoic person naturally. And I'm expecting that I'm going to have to kind of get comfortable with the fact that people are going to be wanting to socialize and what's your name and where are you from?
Hey,
and
welcome on in.
Yeah, I got to put my social hat on. You see what I'm saying? So
right.
if a church was full of Vulcans, yeah, you might be under some duress because I'm just going to make you think, and it's not going to be very upbeat. It's going to be very stoic.
Yeah. Now, he seems like a serious person. He seems like a person who takes things seriously, but I don't think you can put that on the church or the entity that invited you in. If you're a guy who just takes things serious.
Is he a serious person or is he squinting through his glasses and makes him look serious?
No, I'm saying I'm taking his gravitas. You wild. Hey, listen.
So why are you squinting when you got glasses on? I don't get it.
Man, his prescription might be out of date. Get out of here, man. Optometry is expensive, man. He might not have it. He don't even have a tie on.
My people perish without a vision. I see. Dang.
But he seems like a person who takes things overly serious. That's just what the kind of the gravitas he's giving right now. And that's not a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not a thing that you can put on the entity, Christianity as a whole. Maybe the church that he was brought in by was that, but that would be the anomaly and not the rule.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that one. So yeah, he's already starting off, and I just already mentioned the anecdotal part of it, but in a larger context, one of my favorite pastors, a guy named John Piper, talks about joy. The Christian life is about joy. It's not, and so the thing is that there's going to be situations and circumstances in life. That's what these atheists got to understand, is that religion, especially Christianity, is meant to be all encompassing. It's meant to It's meant to reach the person at their lowest moments, and it's meant to ground people at their highest moments. So it's gonna be for every situation. These atheists, and I don't know if he talks about it in this video here, but he's talking about like building an atheist community, helping people as they deconstruct from Christianity. It's like y'all have nothing to offer people. If you go to a wedding,
that those people already have. Oh, you don't believe in that? Cool. You can come over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you take them from what they have, what are they gonna go to? You know, we have something for funerals. We have something for weddings. We have something for commemorations. We got something for graduations. Christianity encompasses every aspect of the human experience. Atheists can't provide that because it's hollow. It's the matrix. There's a lot of atheists believe it's the matrix, and none of this is real anyway. You got people, atheists that believe that in nihilism, that nothing matters at all. You got atheists that believe that morality is just a aid for reproduction, and there's no deeper meaning than that. You got people that believe that it's all amounts to nothing anyway. We're just evolved broccoli. You got atheists that are naturalistic materialists that believe that there's only thing that exists is the material world. So love, justice, joy, that stuff doesn't even really exist. Math doesn't exist. Logic doesn't exist. Those people who really believe that stuff in the atheistic community, how are you going to raise a family with those values? You see that with David Hume. David Hume, one of the most famous atheists, his daughter talks about the fact that when she would do something that her dad didn't like, and he would be like, hey, you shouldn't do that. And she'd be like, why? And as an atheist, he had nothing else to go with it. Don't do it because I don't like when you do it. You can't say it's wrong in an absolute sense. He can't say that it's an offense to God. He can't say that there's a real thing like right and wrong. When but anyways, we'll get more into that as the video goes on. But I just want to these guys think are on this cosmic quest for good. I think they're doing the Lord's work by converting everybody into atheism. And he's doing this doom and gloom spiel where he's saying that people are walking around with their head down, and it's not the reality of a church. And the guy who sent me this video, Will, we were talking about earlier, the reality is that Will and I could walk into a church and he can test this out.
You can walk into 10 churches and test this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like your first introduction to the church, for the most part, like you can go to a church a bunch of times before you even have to join. There's no obligations before you even join a church for most churches. There's no obligation.
Not to mention historically, when the martyrs of the early church were going to their deletion, and coliseums where lions were being, put on them and all kinds of different things like that, there's accounts of them singing to their own deletion. So even when they were getting ready to deal with some real gloom and some real pain, what the accounts that we have available is they count it all as joy. They count suffering as joy for the sake of Christ. So even in the worst moments, even when you watch those slave movies and they're singing and they're humming while they're doing that work, that's what got them through all the anguish they dealt with. So from a historical context, we don't see it. If we go to the here and now, contemporary context, walk in church, nobody's doing doom and gloom and stuff like that. That's outlandish. The only people you see that really have the doom and gloom stuff is you got, what's his name? That was, who's Nipsey Hussle's OG?
Big U.
You saw when Big U was on Vlad, what he was saying about all the foul stuff he did.
Mm-hmm.
What was he saying? He was like, man, I'm just hoping I get into heaven.
Yeah, he said he wanted to do enough deeds to equal out the bad he done. He was trying to do more good deeds.
People that I know that have that doom and gloom is because they've done some foul, wicked stuff on this earth. And they know they have, and nobody else knows how much bad they've done, but they might know they've done some bad. And those people, partners that I've had growing up that have known they've done some foul stuff, and maybe I was their angel on their shoulder, whatever the case may be, they would express some of that stuff. But that's the Hawthorne principle. Like you learn when you learn about business, when people know they're being observed, they tend to act better. So just the fact they know that, hey, God sees my actions and I'm doing foul stuff out here. I'm doing some street stuff out here that's hurting people that are innocent. I've seen some of them look at it a certain way. They drive by church and they pour the liquor out. Oh, yeah, we drive by to pour the liquor out real quick. So it gets very somber in those situations, but that's a good thing. You should think about the doom and the gloom and the duress when you're doing foul things to people who haven't deserved any of it. when you disappoint, your mom, you see Biggie talk about my life's a piece of, it ain't hard to tell. You see what I'm saying? When he's rapping that stuff, is because his mom's kicking him out because she's trying to raise him to be an upstanding young man, and he's choosing to do the worst foul things and go the way of the streets.
I sip
And his
Tanqueray and
conscience,
wish we weren't living so devilish.
I sip Tanqueray. He said, so you can reminisce and wish you wasn't living so devilish. So that's the beauty of religion and spirituality, specifically Christianity, is that whenever you are doing those vile, wicked acts, that your conscience is picking at you and imposing itself on you, saying, "Hey, look, there's got to be a better way. You'll be accountable for these things." So, anyways,
so you think that's maybe what he's talking about? This the weight of the wrong he's doing and the stuff he want to participate in. That's part of what's weighing on his shoulders. Because that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking like, is he using the right words? But we got to judge the words he used. But I know, personally, when I was younger, there were certain things I wanted to get into. After doing certain things, I did feel really bad, and I would think about the consequences. But it wasn't like my everyday life. It's just certain things that was definitely going.
But what do you mean you think about the consequences? What about things that nobody's ever going to know you did?
That's what I mean. Consequences as far as God. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go.
But so I was wondering if that was the case with him. But we got to judge him by his words. But I was wondering if he was using the right words.
Well, I'm judging him by his words, but he hasn't finished speaking yet. We're only like a minute into the video.
Yeah, let's get to it.
To join them in their fear. That's not just persuasion. That's psychological coercion. That's spiritual blackmail dressed up as good news. So what should our response be? What do we do when people live under this kind of fear? What do we do when they invite us to share in it? And how do we actually help? That's what today's conversation is going to be about. Let's start with understanding the reality. For many Christians, the afterlife is a threat of eternal punishment. Eternal damnation is not a small fear. It's infinite suffering with no escape clause. Even the possibility of that outcome creates paralyzing anxiety. You can see it in my comments. Many Christians are taught this from early childhood when the imagination is most vulnerable. The fear becomes a baseline emotional reality long before it's rationally examined. Every choice, every doubt, every wrong thought is framed as potentially tipping the scale toward eternal torture. This is less a belief than a psychological trap. The present life then becomes constant surveillance. God is seen as a warden. A vengeful, intervening deity isn't just watching, he's punishing, correcting, and testing. That creates the sense of living in a cosmic panopticon, where even private thoughts are policed. Over time, believers don't just fear God, they fear themselves. Their own mind becomes a suspect, their own body a liability. If your right hand offends you, cut it off. This creates a perpetual guilt cycle. Even small mistakes are infused with eternal consequence. Confession, repentance, and rededication become ongoing rituals to manage this inner pressure disguised as peace. That pressure often reveals itself in the invitations framed by damnation. This is a sales pitch by threat. The invitation to church or conversion is rarely neutral. It's presented as, come with me or risk eternal regret. That's a contagion of fear. Believers often feel obligated to recruit, not out of genuine joy or connection, but because not warning you would itself be a sin. Misery loves company. If they're living in fear, the only relief is getting others to validate that fear by joining it. Let's take a look at this through my personal window. Leading people to heaven or hell with every decision. This creates a binary worldview. As a young minister, I wasn't just preaching sermons, I was carrying the unbearable burden of eternal outcomes on my shoulders. Every interaction was framed as salvation or damnation. That kind of belief system manufactures a constant crisis. There's no room for rest or nuance because eternity is always at stake. This is why we call it coercion and not persuasion. When the stakes are eternal torture, choice is not really choice, it's blackmail. This isn't just abstract theology. It's the lived reality of millions of people who wake up every day under the pressure of both eternal threat and constant surveillance. Understanding this makes clear why conversations with Christians can feel so charged. It's not just about ideas. It's about survival as they.
So yeah, the funny thing about this is, doesn't he sound religious still? The way from his tone to the fact that he's like, this is like some kind of call to all the atheists out there and the sympathizers of his cause to say, hey, look, these people out here are under duress and they're really hurting and they feel like they have nowhere to go and they're being coerced into believing something they don't want to believe, so they don't go to a place that is a horrible place. And so we need to whatever. But the reality of it is, one, You're on mute if you're talking. He knows. It's a false dilemma. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying you said, does he sound religious? Like he's promoting his religion.
Yeah, it sounds like another religious call.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I have more respect for atheists who just say things like, we're just evolved broccoli, we're just cosmic stardust. You know, when a great white shark forcibly copulates with the female great white shark, what we would call grape, you know, in the human world, they would say that there's no difference between a human doing it and there's no difference between a shark doing it. At least that's consistent with their atheistic worldview. But this guy wants all the impulses and the conviction of a religion, all the resolute, you know, commands of a religion without the religion. But it's an unstable house. There's no foundation. It would fall without the ontological foundation of that call that he's doing. It's going to fall down, because what are we doing this for? Why are we doing this thing? Why not just, as Paul said in the Bible, if this is not real, let's eat and drink for tomorrow we die. That's what he said. This ain't real. Let's eat and drink for tomorrow we die. It would just be somewhat mitigated hedonism, because you wouldn't want to do something that's going to get you blocked up, or something that's going to get you to where you can't fully enjoy yourself while you're on this earth. But generally speaking, if their worldview is true, you might as well just do as much as you can that you can get away with, because there is nothing. There is no, you know, justice. What the mustache man did is just an opinion. That's his opinion. Somebody can have an opinion now that he was wrong, and there's no right and there's no wrong. It's all relativistic. So the thing is, he's using people's religious fervor about morality and easing people's burdens. He's appealing to it, but he's denying the foundation of it, the absoluteness of it, because it comes from God that transcends nature. So he talks about coercion, right? The issue with this coercion thing is that he's using the word in a wrong way, in an inappropriate way. Coercion is typically whenever you're using threats and intimidation to get somebody to do something they don't want to do against their will. But if you tell somebody, hey, look, don't rob that bank because you're going to go to jail, that's not coercion. That's a legitimate warning. So somebody says, hey, look, if you're doing these foul acts against humanity, you're not just offending man, you're offending God. And you will have to give an account for that. That's a fair warning. That's not coercion, because the stuff that they're trying to get the person to not do is stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And so it's like an appeal to emotion that he's doing. It is an appeal to emotion with a coercion word. And so I think this is another situation where you see these guys beguiling people with their wording. It seems like he's reading off a teleprompter or something like that.
Yeah, that was thinking.
That's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and he's a pretty good orator. I do appreciate his tonality. I think he's mastered what he's doing, and he seems like he's going really fast. But I just want the audience out there, the people, the folks out there who really who appreciate critical thinking and epistemology, to really evaluate what this guy is saying. It doesn't make as much sense as his posture and resolute, you know, tone would pretend it does.
They've been taught to imagine it. For them, it is literally eternal life or eternal death. So now that we've unpacked this, what should be our proper response to this reality? Well, first, I'd say clarity before condemnation. Most Christians didn't design the system. They inherited it through culture, through family, and community. Condemning them for being trapped only deepens their sense of shame. Fear does not equal truth. The intensity of their fear doesn't validate the claims of their religion. It validates the power of the indoctrination. Fear is a poor metric of reality, but it is a strong measure of how deeply an idea has been implanted. Instead of reacting with anger or superiority, clarity allows us to see the situation plainly. They are victims of an architecture of control, not the villains who built it. Their fear is real, even if the source is not. Dismissing the fear outright, hell isn't real, stop worrying, can come across as cold or even dismissive. We can affirm the pain without affirming the framework. We can take the middle path. Empathy does not require agreement. We can validate their experience. I understand how terrifying that must feel for you, while still offering an alternative perspective that undermines the system's grip. If we mock or belittle their fear, we only reinforce the narrative that outsiders are cruel and untrustworthy. But if we collude with the fear, we keep them trapped. The balance is crucial. Fear often works best when it remains unnamed and unquestioned. Simply labeling it as coercion or psychological duress strips it of some of its invisible authority. When believers hear someone says, what you're experiencing is not love, it's control, it plants a seed. The frame shifts from divine truth to human manipulation. I remember sharing a story with a coworker one time about me trying to be better about submitting to my pastor as my spiritual authority. In just a few words, he planted a seed that changed the trajectory of my life. He said, Darante, that sounds like abuse. After thinking about it for about 5 seconds, I was in tears because he was absolutely right. And he was the first person who created the space to call it what it was. Once fear is exposed as a tactic rather than a truth, it begins to lose its grip. People then can begin to see that the terror was manufactured, not revealed.
Now, can we pause it right here?
It's clarity, empathy, or
so the thing about what he's saying right here is that this stuff does happen, you know. So, and I want everybody out there to hear this as people watch the video from now into infinity, that this is not an attack on what he's saying so much. It's more of an evaluation of his methodology and his approach to the conversation, and how objective he's being about painting the scenario for people who may not be familiar with the backdrop of this. Not everybody's come from a religious context. I know specifically you came from a very non-religious context. And the thing is that people that might hear that might really believe that people are in despair in this way. And I'm sure it happens. I've been a victim of religious abuse, but I've been a victim of corporate abuse. I've been a victim of domestic abuse. I've been a victim of, occupational abuse, all kind of different abuses. I've had restaurants treat me bad. I've had friends treat me bad, strangers, you name it. And so the thing is that it's a lot more frequent outside of the church than it's been inside of the church. But it does happen. If you spend a lot of time in the church or with church people, you're going to deal with it because they're taking everybody. And so when he's talking about this pastor, he wanted to do a better job submitting to his pastor. Only he knows in his heart if he was doing it out of fear. Now, I have no idea on earth what a pastor could do to him in fear. He's not a woman, so there's no kind of SA type stuff. The most that could happen is that maybe some social shame. He may lose his opportunity to gain position. But that's one of those things. Go ahead.
Even if that's the case, there's several other instances in life where you would want to do better for the person that you're in a relationship with, or that other dynamic. People do better for their wives, right? People want to be better human being for their wives or for their kids. Does that also constitute abuse? When someone is wanting to improve their relationship or their dynamic with the other person, like, I don't understand why this singularly is abuse, or even sounds like abuse, because he said he was trying to do a better job at submitting to his pastor. At no point, at least in this video, did he say my pastor was making me do this or was forcing me to submit or was telling me I did a bad job of submitting. Like, he's saying, like, this is something that he wanted to do, he chose to do, is what I'm getting from it. And that I'm sure there's a deeper context, or there's more context to explain how he got to that conclusion. But the overall point I'm trying to make is, in this video where he's trying to indoctrinate or kind of pull folks away from the belief system, he's not offering that context.
Yeah, the difficulty with a lot of this stuff to me is it comes back to this anti-establishment narrative again. It's like a pastor, you submit, people can hear that and go, oh, wow, that sounds like abuse. Do you even know the context? The person who said, do you even know the context of this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, in any organization, there's an org chart. One of the things I heard when Marquette Devon Burton, I think his name is, very sharp guy. I'm not always a fan of his rhetorical, techniques, but he was debating my son, and I was watching a piece of it earlier today. And part of the conversation that they were having, whenever they were talking about authorities and stuff like that, was a hatred towards the white man or the government. And so whenever you have that hatred towards the government or the white man, whatever you say, now it's permissible to do certain things that would otherwise be inappropriate and or immoral. So it's like, well, because they're the enemy, then it's okay to do this. It's okay to cheat. It's okay to lie. It's okay to steal. It's okay to be irrational.
Justification of irrational behavior.
And so I've seen people do these kind of things to people, and I think he was just a victim. This guy right here we're looking at right now is a victim of it, where somebody that's anti-religious, or whatever the case may be, or maybe they are religious themselves, but they just have this mindset of, I don't care if they're pastor, elder, whatever the case may be. I don't care what the Bible says about submitting to elders. I just think that we should all be on the same level, and nobody should submit to anybody because they just have this anarchist, naively, egalitarian perspective, a very, I would say, kind of like a feminine mindset that nobody's above anybody kind of a thing, which is completely destroys education, corporations, the military, everything that we hold dear in our society today. And they're just going, well, if you're having to work hard to submit to the pastor, then that sounds like abuse. You shouldn't have to do that. And the reality is that now don't get me wrong, they're ministers, which means they're servants. So in the leadership in the church, they are to serve. And it says, you want to be the greatest of all time, you must be the biggest servant. And I do think there's a lot of Hollywood churches out there that take advantage of people and they abuse their authority. And instead of them being the biggest servants, they use their authority to crush people and to put burdens on people. But the Bible specifically says that stuff is wrong.
Right. That's what I was on. You can't keep ascribing human fallibility to the belief system, the religion, or that's intellectually unfair.
And you got to deal with the devil in you. Some people are attracted to superstars, whether in the church and out of the church. So you can have a humble pastor who's maybe meek outside of the pulpit. He's not somebody that you're going to get goosebumps about. And maybe even his message doesn't levitate you across the room. But he's faithful to the text. He's a good servant. He's meek. And that guy, he doesn't attract a lot of people. But the guy who's hooping and hollering and he's got the fancy clothes and the fancy shoes, he's shiny, he's bombastic, he tells you what you want to hear, he flatters you, he tickles your ears, you're drawn. Now you're in that church, and then you're surprised when that guy is abusing you.
Yeah,
it was always,
like
it was always about him.
They the criminal. Oh, I date a drug dealer.
Yeah.
He's tough, and then be like, I can't believe he.
That's what happened to Kill Bill.
I can't believe he hit me.
Remember when Uma Thurman said at the end of the movie, she was like, you shot me. And he was like, well, I'm an assassin. She was like, well, yeah, I know you're an assassin, but I never thought you would do it to me.
But that's what I do. That's my thing.
That's my thing. That's what you like me because I do my thing and I did my thing.
Exactly. You like that aggression, but when it turned on you, all of it, and that's it's a bit of hubris. Like
they mistreat everybody around
better than everyone else. So that couldn't happen to me, even though it was like that's weird.
Enos had a situation like that. I don't know why Enos went to that church or why he was so attracted to it, but Enos was going to a church with a superstar, little man complex apostle where he was. Yeah. And people, Enos will talk about, I'm only talking about it instead of him because I don't know if he wants to share about it, but he said when that guy would walk around, people would move good out of his way like he was part in the Red Sea.
Man, yeah, that was crazy, man. Yeah, it was crazy because he claimed he had a lot of spiritual gifts, so he would walk up and down the aisles. Yeah, he'd walk up and down the aisles like he was casting out demons. That's what he said. He had a gift in casting out demons. So he'd walk up and down the aisles and people would get scared, wondering if they had demons inside of them. Short guy, he might have been like, I don't know, like 5'1", 5'2", short guy.
Oh, I didn't know he was that short.
He was short. He wasn't over 5'5". So
objection, Your Honor, relevance.
No, he's short of 5. Yeah, I got you. But yeah, Vulcan mentioned that earlier. So
this wasn't a guy of stature that's You know, because there is some kind of, you know, people pick presidents that are tall, over 6 foot. The studies show women, over 60% of women prefer a guy who's like over 6 foot tall. So there's something that people that men,
Yeah.
both of you gentlemen are like that. Y'all are tall of stature and stuff like that. So there's something psychological with it.
Yeah.
But this guy didn't even have that. So these people are moving out of this guy's way and all that kind of stuff. And I spoke with the guy on the phone once or twice, and just to see that how narcissistic he was and how self-absorbed he was. And those people chose somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, why'd you pick that place out of all places, if you don't mind me asking? I'm kind of curious why, because that would, you know, be a turnoff for me.
Yeah. So when the guys I was working with, they was going to that church.
This is like 20 years ago, y'all, by the way.
Yeah. So I didn't have a church home at the time. So oh, you know what it was? I went into the church. I went into the church and they was playing G. Craig Lewis videos. I was like, oh snap, they know about G. Craig Lewis, Truth Behind Hip Hop, and that was it. I was meeting with him. I met with him a few times because I didn't understand the doctrine or what he was preaching. So I was like, I got to talk to him a few times. So when I went and met with him, he was like, man, you're the only one that want to meet with me. Because a lot of my members don't want to meet. So they would schedule meetings. I would ask, hey, what you think about this? What you think about that? He'd give me like 30 minutes or an hour of time. So the second time he said he was too busy. And I was like, man, I wanted to he was probably one of the second or third pastors I had deep conversations with. I was like, I just go ahead and join so I can have more conversations with him or whatever. And that was it. It wasn't really a lot of thought. It was a lot of my guys I was working with was already going there. And I just went ahead and joined. So that's what happened.
And his personality wasn't a turnoff for you?
I didn't afterwards. Now I went to the church. I wasn't going to church for like months. It was like a few times I went. So it wasn't a turn off in the beginning. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't a turn off in the beginning. Afterwards, it was like, we used to have some of the guys we was going to church was like, something's off. And I was like, man, I'm just here for the word. I don't have a church home. So the guys I'm going to work with is going here. And it's like, it's up the street from where I live at. It was convenient. But then, I think I was in the church for like 4, maybe like 6 months. But a lot happened within that 6 months though, so a lot happened. But his personality over time.
The church, or are you talking about with you? Like in your personal life outside the church?
Say it again. What's the question?
You said a lot happened in that time span. You're talking about in the church?
The relationship I had I ended up getting what they call, there's no such thing as this, but they I forgot what they did to Martin Luther, the Roman church, the Catholic church. They kicked them out. You can't kick nobody out, but
you talking about excommunicated?
Yeah, excommunicated. Yeah, I got excommunicated from the church. Because it didn't
I don't
stop.
get what you mean. Why can't you say they can't kick anybody out? I don't get what you mean by that.
Well, when I mean kicked out, I say it another way, like say I'm not welcome here.
You saying a church can't tell somebody they're not welcome there? Somebody can just come and urinate all over the pews and be like, you can't say he's not welcome here. Yeah,
I'm glad you I could clarify that. Not for what I was doing. I was asking more questions about some of the doctrines that he was
what I'm saying is, can they tell somebody they're not welcome here?
Yeah, they can. They can.
Because it seemed like you were saying that they can't do that.
Yeah, they couldn't do that for the reasons why they was doing it to me. That wasn't biblical.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Okay, got you. I understand now.
They did do it though.
No, they didn't. They said it. I just stopped. I had stopped going anyway. They had told people I knew, but I had already stopped going to the church anyway. But yeah, but to Vulcan's
you can't fire me. I quit.
To my Vulcan's point, one of the things I did admire about him because he just knew the word Old Testament. I wasn't familiar with a lot of the Old Testament scriptures, and he was just breaking down a lot of the Old Testament, and he was he was in agreement with the Truth Behind Hip Hop DVD. So I was like, I'm young. I'm like, okay, man, this is already a video I'm watching. Maybe this is the church I need to join. And I was like, and people was already going there. It was just that simple.
You can go ahead and play it again.
All right.
Naming, we risk one or two extremes: harsh condemnation that alienates, or soft enabling that keeps people in chains. But by holding all three together, clarity, empathy, and naming, we create space for transformation. We become not just the critics of religion, but guides out of coercion. Okay, so then what should our proper response to their invitations be like? Well, clearly, refuse the premise. Avoid the trap of what if. Many invitations hinge on a hypothetical. But what if hell is real? What if you could see your family again? This question is designed to pull you into their framework where fear dictates the logic. By refusing the premise, you step outside the frame entirely. Instead of debating hell's geography or heaven's gates, you reveal the strategy. If your belief needs threats to keep people loyal, maybe it's not about love at all. This undermines the coercive logic at its roots. You're not rejecting their invitation rudely. You're shining light on the mechanism that makes the invitation feel urgent. Their frame is built on avoidance, avoiding hell, avoiding God's wrath. Flipping the frame means centering the conversation on pursuit, pursuing freedom, dignity, joy, and love without strings attached. By asking, do you believe love needs threats to be real? You make them face the contradiction in their system. The question itself does the work without needing a sermon. You shift
You
the
go ahead and
ground from
pause it.
protect yourself from
Yep.
damnation to choose a life ground.
And I want the audience out here to hear what I'm about to say is not a refutation of his overall point. That wasn't the point of breaking down this video. I think a lot of times we deal with what I call the nirvana fallacy, where something that's not perfect, it's not good. And with this guy's a classic point. Before I get into breaking down what he was saying, I was trying to write it down as he was talking, but it's not easy because my handwriting is terrible, poor dexterity. But what he's talking about, let's think of this guy's an atheist. So he's saying, hey, look, y'all, they're going to use fear to pull you in. They're going to use coercion to get you in. If you just reject the premise that it's really urgent because there's, hell, awaiting you, then you're fine. You're good. Then they lose all the pull of their sales pitch. But what is he offering them? If all that stuff is really for nothing, then he's offering, life is actually purposeless. There is no God in the sky. There is nothing that gives any type of real meaning, absolute meaning to your life. Any good thing that happened to you, any bad thing that happened to you, it's useless. You're a speck of dust on a bigger piece of dust that's wet, that's floating throughout space in a small galaxy in an ever expansive universe. And you will be forgotten and nobody will remember you. And it'll be like you never existed. That's what he's offering. I'm not getting into at this moment in time whether it's true or false. It's just that he's pretending, and that's the beauty of attacking the big religions, specifically Christianity here, is because there's so much written about it. Even casuals like Enos growing up, who wasn't raised religiously, still was able to glean things about the religion and the people and the culture because it's pervasive. It's everywhere. But the reality is, when people listen to guys like this, they don't think about what they're offering. They only think about what they're being asked to give up. I've seen this all the time. I've hired countless people. And when they don't get paid when they want to get paid, if a customer cancels and somebody on the phone's made a mistake and they go, man, I don't want to work here, man. People make mistakes and this, that, and the other, whatever. Even if it's not happening very often, they think I'm about to leave and go somewhere else. And I'm thinking in my head, like, wherever you're gonna go,
that's gonna happen as well.
It's gonna be another imperfect place. And how many times have I seen people leave one company and then beg to come back? And it's like, you went somewhere else that was even worse. Now, I'm not saying everybody leaves somewhere and goes somewhere worse, but you're gonna go somewhere that's still imperfect.
There's still going to be mistakes made. Because again, it's people. People are fallible. People make mistakes. That's just what it is. There's not a perfect entity out there.
Most of Jesus' critiques were with the church, or with not the church, but with the religious establishment of the time. That's most of his critiques. The apostles themselves, they were battling primarily with people of their own faith. Paul, before he became Paul, was Saul. He was the leading Christians. He was a religious man, a very devout religious man, the leading Christians. So when this guy is saying, like, we're gonna roll the red carpet out for you so that you can gracefully leave your delusion that's imposing itself on you and holding you down, where are you gonna land? You're gonna land in a nothingness. And how it's still scary that there's gonna be nothing. When you die, that's just it. That's just as scary. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses believe. There's religious beliefs within loosely the umbrella of Christianity, even though they would be more considered a cult, that believe that you go into nothingness, like an atheist would probably believe.
This you also have to consider that he's banking on when he says things like this. He's banking on the fact that you haven't read the text. You don't understand the doctrine. This is the doctrine actually specifically talks about how love is not, you don't have to earn it. They're gonna love you no matter how many times you mess up. The Lord loves you no matter how. Like there are things in there that specifically refute this particular point that he's making. And when he makes a point like this, he's counting on the fact that you haven't read the doctrine, you haven't read the Bible. There's so many examples in the Bible where love is everlasting or love is unfettered. Like that's one of the base doctrines or principles about the Lord. Like the Lord will love you no matter what. How many times can you mess up and still always come back? The prodigal son is a great example. It's a parable that talks about like it doesn't matter what you do, you can depart from the family as long as you come. Like when you come back, we're gonna be here for you with open arms of love. Like there's so many examples in the Bible of that you would be hard pressed. You would have to have never heard any of this stuff or be specifically looking for something that goes against the doctrine to believe this particular point that he's making.
And I want everybody to keep in mind the church, we have to filter out our biases. One of our biases is a negative bias, negative confirmation. We look for the negative. Our brains are hardwired to remember negative as a survival, technique, so we can survive, because we have to fear more of the negative than the positive. If everything's great, there's no harm there. If something negative could potentially be there, our brain's gonna sear it into our subconscious and conscious so that we don't run into it and hurt ourselves. So yes, when we think about all the abuses of the church, all the negatives of the church, they're going to be glaring to us, but that's more indicative of our biology than it is the actual real circumstance. The church has done the most good around the world. If you go to any church, I went to Freshly's church one time, close to 20 years ago. They had a kitchen. They were doing good things. The ladies in there were happy. They were joyous. They had camaraderie. They had family. They had all kind of different things. The young people in there were being encouraged to do positive things. That's the reality. Walk into a church. Don't let this guy brainwash you into thinking that there's some real doom and gloom here. You walk into church, even if you got a superstar pastor, he's got a bread ministry. They're doing things for the community. They're helping women with their sons. They're teaching them skills. They have nonprofits. They're doing, even in the worst churches, you're going to see these kind of things.
They got schools. They have, bookstores, donations, soup kitchens. They donate on the holidays. They gather gifts, right, during Christmas that they just give away. Like there's so many things. And again, unless you're looking for, right, if you're out looking for the negative aspect of things, you can find that with anything, especially anything that deals with human beings. And
I'm not saying you shouldn't look.
No, you definitely should look, but you shouldn't attribute it. You should attribute the actions of one person or one entity and attribute them across the board. Then you'd be guilty of the hasty generalization fallacy, where you take a singular experience and cast it across the entirety of the entity.
Yeah, for sure. So you can keep it going if you got. We don't know if you have comments or not, but if you don't have comments, you can go ahead and keep it going.
No.
And flourishing. That's a different conversation entirely. One where fear no longer holds the mic. It's possible to care about a person without agreeing to every invitation they extend. You can listen respectfully while still saying, I'm not interested in this conversation. Their sense of urgency is real for them, but it doesn't have to be transferred to you. You are not responsible for managing their anxiety about your soul. By calmly setting boundaries, you show them what life outside of coercion looks like. Engagement without pressure, dignity without fear, and relationship without manipulation. Invitations into fear-driven faith are not neutral. They are extensions of coercion. If you enter the conversation on their terms, you've already ceded the ground. By refusing the premise, flipping the frame, and setting boundaries, you reclaim your freedom while also modeling a healthier way of relating. This is not about winning debates. It's about embodying liberation in the face of manipulation. So understanding this, how do we truly help people that are in these coercive environments, whether it be religion, politics, or culture? Number one, offer safe exits. For many Christians, the fear of hell is only part of the chain. Leaving also means risking family rejection, social isolation, and cultural exile. It's not just a theological shift, it's an existential uprooting. That's why creating spaces like Bridge City Global, where we have our Sunday sessions, is so critical. When people see they won't be alone, the grip of fear loosens. Belief loses much of its power once isolation is no longer the
I didn't hear you. So what?
Plug.
price of freedom. This can look like discussion groups, online communities, mentoring, or simply being a consistent voice of care in someone's life. A safe landing place makes even considering the leap possible. We also have to normalize doubt. Within Christianity, doubt is often framed as weakness or rebellion. But in reality, doubt is evidence of intellectual honesty and moral courage. By treating doubt as normal, even necessary, you help believers reframe their own inner voice as a friend, not an enemy. Once people realize doubt isn't the devil, it becomes the crack in the wall where light begins to pour in. This next one is where the work is really needed at. Model joy beyond fear. This
Pause
is
it
the
real
strongest
quick.
apologetic. Fear-driven faith thrives.
I want to address this doubt part right here. The thing about the doubt is I do think that people do have a misunderstanding about doubt. And a lot of times it's because a lot of us, we just are mentally lazy. There's things that we're allowed to doubt. I don't know. I'll stop whenever somebody interrupts me. We can go for the comment. I don't know if Enos, or whoever wants to just pull. I don't know what verse he's referring to.
I already got it.
Okay.
Sorry. Just whenever you go, whenever you stop.
Okay. Okay. We're finishing, and you okay? Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah. I mean, I think I forgot what I was saying now. So we can go and pull
The
it up.
doubt. You're talking about the doubt.
Oh yeah. So for the doubt thing, the reality is this: it depends what we're doubting. So if you're in a relationship with somebody, they start to doubt your love for them, and you're not doing anything that's worthy of doubting their love for them, for your love for them, then the reality is, yes, there's something to it. What's going on? A lot of times that means there's an insecurity in that person. The frailty, the weakness, the vulnerable spot is in that person. The integrity relationship has been compromised. That's when doubt isn't a healthy thing. Now you reassure them, and you don't just reassure them for the moment to seal that leak, but you also want to reinforce it for the future. That's how relationships work. Relationships with God, relationship with the church, relationship with your friends and family. The reality is now, if the doubt is coming because you're doing things that will make them insecure, then yes, that's a healthy doubt. Part of my issue with guys like this, and I think he means well, to be honest with y'all, even though that I think I wish he'd come about it in Freshie's words from a more objective or unbiased perspective. I'm saying that because you said the will, if I remember correctly. But the reality is that I think that when it comes to people like this, he has to understand that when he speaks so loosely about things, it's really just irresponsible. It's haphazard. Doubt in what context? There's a context in which doubt is helpful. You can call it skepticism. You can call it just not fully trusting something. That's makes sense. When somebody faith or confidence, confide with faith, that means you don't actually know all the way. So that by its very nature of the definition means there's doubt in there, or there at least a lack of resolve. There's something there that's still a little shaky. And I think people here has to understand that we got to categorize what this doubt is. So I want the audience out there to hear is that when you hear that, we got to think a little bit further, a little deeper than what he might want you to think. Understand, what is this? Is this a doubt that's coming from my own frailties as a human being? I think people doubt things, and when after it's explained, I'll give one quick example. I had a friend of mine, this is a church example as well. I had a friend of mine who, was down, he was going to this church. He wasn't a member of the church yet. His wife was, but he wasn't. And part of his issue was he would say, like, man, the church, the leaders of the ship of the church never calls me. There's 300 members in this church. They never call me. I don't see why they don't get in contact with me. If I had a church, I would reach out to people. I would do this. I would do that. And I'm like, hey, dude, they got 300 members here. Like, I mean, it's like 3 or 4 of them, and it's 300 of you, and that's just that's members. That's not even counting people who are just coming there visiting and all that kind of stuff right there. I said,
Yeah.
How many times have you not reached out to somebody that might have needed you to reach out to them? Have you looking from both vantage points?
Mm-hmm.
And he thought about it. He fought with me. We talked about it for a little while. Later on, he thought about it. He ended up reaching out to them like within the next week or so. They were over at his house within that week. They brought him groceries for his home. They did all that stuff for this dude. Guy's not even a member of the church.
You also got to consider,
and he was
like,
broke at the time. He wouldn't even have no money. It wasn't like it was tithe money attached to it. He was broke. Part of the issue that his wife was complaining about. And so my point is just saying this right here is that in that situation with this guy is because he was coming from a very selfish vantage point and he was doubting the love and the care and the responsive, ability of the elders. He was looking at it from a very negative perspective, a very self-absorbed perspective. And once he made that first move, they exceeded his expectations. So that doubt he found out was not a doubt because of their behavior. It was a doubt because his own human frailty of being irrational, of being selfish. And so not all doubt is good and not all doubt is bad. We got to evaluate on a case-by-case basis.
And when you listen to folks like this, even folks who are coming from a good place, you have to watch out for when you're evaluating certain standards. You have to watch out for people who have to focus on the worst extreme of the thing that they are talking about in order to make their point. There are stages and phases and different degrees of everything, right? There's extreme good and there's extreme bad with almost everything that you're talking about. If your point is being made and the only way you can make that point is to focus on the extreme negative aspect of it, just beware of that. Most of the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And oftentimes in a lot of examples. So you want to be careful about when you're listening to certain people and they say if they're only focusing on the bad, they're not focusing on any of the good. Then you have to wonder, like, what is your actual goal here? What is your agenda? And I would say possibly hating. For being honest,
I mean,
that sounds like a hater to me.
Man, the title said Christian runs on fear. You know what I noticed about this? Because this is my first time watching this. The fact that he's actually coaching people how to deal with Christians is interesting. He's like, if they're talking about certain things, you can opt out, like really giving them instructions. That was telling. I didn't realize he was doing that in this video. I ain't gonna say realize. I didn't expect him to be doing this in the video. It's interesting. He's actually giving you guidelines and tips.
Why did you expect him to be doing that? I'm curious.
Yeah, when I thought he was just going to go over the fears of what was going on in the church. Oh, what's the title? The title says, let me just pull the video up. Christianity runs on fear. So I thought the video was just going to be based on why Christians run on fear. I didn't think too deep in it. He's actually giving you tools to avoid Christians.
So you didn't think that because you didn't think too deep into it, basically.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, I want to say obviously, but yeah.
So it's more about you than it was about anything about him or something like that.
I wasn't. That's why I said I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, that's
okay.
Good. That's a good observation. Yeah,
for what I thought you were maybe saying that something that he was something that you knew about him, or there's something in the context where you wouldn't expect him to do something like that. But it was more like you just didn't really.
Yeah.
Think that
also want to point out that
I would say this that the title. Right. Yeah, you're right. The title and his introduction. I just wasn't me. You're right. Me expecting him to give you tools and guides to avoid certain conversations with Christians. It's interesting. It's interesting.
The operative word is avoid conversations with Christians. So he's not even giving people the benefit of the doubt that he can educate them enough to have these conversations and still end up forming their own opinion. He's saying, hey, don't even have that conversation. Don't even talk to them, because what I'm thinking is, like, are they not intelligent enough, or are they educated enough to have this conversation and not, fall under the quote unquote spell that he's saying that they're putting on them. Mm-hmm. So essentially what he's saying is, you guys are, and I'm paraphrasing, a lot of y'all are too simple to not be taken in by this chicanery. So instead of that, I'm just telling you, don't do it. Don't even have the conversation.
Yeah.
Which is That I don't think that's intellectually honest either. Like, just don't listen to the other side, and you'll be okay. That seems more indoctrination than anything I've heard him
Yeah,
talk about with Christianity.
but it sounds like the guys, because he's advocating for atheism. It sounds like he's giving guidelines to protect them. He's like, do this to protect yourself. That's how it was
Yeah,
sounding to me. It's telling.
yeah. Because what about the people who join the church and come to Christianity, come to Christ, and it improves their lives?
I mean, the studies
There's
are out on that. I mean, the studies
That's
show
what
that
I'm saying.
people
There's
that
so many
have,
stories out there.
yeah, the people that, well, yeah, the stories. But I'm even talking about even aside from stories, which is great. We can definitely get into that. But even the studies they've done on that, people that have religious belief are on less antidepressants. They have longer marriages.
Yeah.
They have more fulfilled marriages. That they people that believe in the afterlife and that there's something that's going to happen. Good can come out of it, and there's forces that act on their behalf. They heal faster. They receive medicine better. There's a lot on the religious side in favor of it. I mean, even evolutionary biologists, some that may be religious and some may not, say that the reason why even humans even have religion is because it helps them to reproduce and to survive. There's a
I want to
reason
point out.
why there's very few civilizations that have been atheistic throughout human history. Very few, because it doesn't help with survival. And this is for people out there. Will, if you're listening, anybody who's out there listening, that's why this is not. We're not talking about right and wrong. We're not talking about true and false right here. This guy's talking about sustainability and being depressed and being doom and gloom and psychological load and stuff like that that's being placed. That's in favor of religion. That's why human history, all religions, Christian or not, they have that there.
Yeah, one of the
explanation for it.
When you talk about people with depression, some of the things that they are dealing with is, they don't have a purpose, they don't have a direction, they don't believe in anything. Those things take away positivity in your life. Like with the things that he's saying, what the atheistic belief espouses is that there's nothing, right? You're not doing this for there's no purpose in life. We're just living here until we ain't living here anymore. If you look at the studies, and we're going into like psychology, those are some of the things that inspire depression. They inspire lack of motivation, inspire lack of purpose, because there's nothing for them to aspire to. There's no belief. It's just like, I guess we're just here
Think
till we
about
ain't.
this. What business is. When you go to a business, they have a mission statement of a vision. When they sit you down and you're going through the onboarding process, they give you that kind of stuff, because if you sat there and was like, hey, look, you're going to make some money here, y'all. And people are like, okay, what's the company about? You create your own purpose.
Yeah, you do it because, for whatever reason.
Yeah, you're not going to have the right culture there.
Yeah, but
it's not going to happen.
Here's the thing: even atheism tells you how not to believe things. They don't just let you. They don't let you not believe in things the way you want to. Atheism has a rubric. It has a structure. Like there's, oh, you're not an atheist because blah blah blah. So again, he's just offering you another thing to replace. He's offering you another entity to replace whatever religion or belief system that they want you out of. Which part of the reason, part of his issue with it, atheism does that too. Like, no, you can't be an atheist if you don't believe like this. If you don't not believe like this. I also want to point out before we move on, he seems very anti-establishment, but it's like he's only applying it to Christianity, right?
Mm-hmm.
What entity, what organization ever in any place doesn't have guidelines, doesn't have rules, doesn't have consequences if you do, I'm like, even you're talking about YouTube and different platforms that he's making money off of right now. You have to ascribe to a certain level of adherence to be able to gain the benefits.
They'll deplatform you. They'll demonetize you.
They will demonetize you if you step outside of the guidelines. Even when we're talking about just, if you're an atheist, you still have to subscribe to the law. You can't just break the law, or there's consequences. It is weird that he's only ascribing this anti-establishment, like, there's rules to this, and if you break those rules, there are consequences. He's only applying that to Christianity. I wonder why that is. And I'm not saying that he's right or wrong. Again, this is not the point of this breakdown. What we're saying is beware. Like, these are things to look at when you're listening to people like this. They have a certain focus. They have a certain agenda that may or may not be to benefit you.
But it's like it's not subtle. It's he's very
Yeah,
direct
it's
to
very
trying to
overt.
he's direct to converting you to his ideology.
Correct.
Well, I wouldn't say he's converting you to his ideology, which he is. I would just say the emphasis on he's trying to deconstruct you or remove you from the one you're actually in. It's like it's like, I mean, like Freshly said, is Dame for us or is just against them? And I'm getting the same vibes from this dude.
That's
Is
a deep
he?
cut, my boy.
Yeah. Is this guy really for atheism or just
Bars.
really anti-Christianity?
Man.
I'm getting more anti-Christianity than I am like pro-atheism from this dude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he hasn't brought up any other entity, any other religion. It's just Christianity. He's church hurt. He sounds like.
Yeah, I listened to quite a few atheists, and that's why I said it was telling when I heard he was actually giving them instructions how to deal with. Usually, maybe because I look at some of the atheists that actually debate Christians, so they're not giving guidelines. Hey, when they come up to you, say this and that. And I'm like, wow, this is different. I mean, James, you're more. I mean, well, can you maybe you?
James
let me
didn't
ask you
come on
this.
Today.
Say again.
James, I think James he was meant to come on, but he didn't make it today.
Yeah.
Vulcan
Let me ask you
stepped in.
this, Vulcan. Was you surprised or was you expecting them to take this angle as far as giving them guidelines and instructions how to converse with Christians?
I think I expected him to do whatever. I mean, like obviously he's reading off a teleprompter. It's not like this guy's impromptu freestyling off the dome. He ain't a little flip. Shrimp, coming soon like a hot air balloon. That's not this guy right here. He's had plenty of time, and I know he's had Matt Dillahunty on the show and stuff like that. I'm very familiar with atheism for the last, I think the first literature I ever read from atheists, me and Freshly, read it at a similar time because we were given to us by a friend of ours. It was Sam Harris, letter to a Christian Nation. That was the first time I ever read like a book about atheism. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with it.
Like one of the.
Oh yeah, Fresh. I think he Fresh kind of paused. Or am I paused or Fresh paused?
That's Fresh.
Okay, yeah. So with that letter to Christian Nation book, I read it and I was like, man, I didn't find it that compelling philosophically. I like again, like just like this guy, I think he makes some decent points. Nobody critiques the church probably more than me. The Bible says in Corinthians 5 talks about we are to judge the church. We don't judge outside, we judge inside the church. It says judge righteously, judge every tree by its fruit. Mark those among you who preach a false gospel. Jesus was getting rid of the money changers in the temple, who was making his father's house, an idol's temple, or however he words it. So my point is just saying that within Christianity, within religion, we have our own critiques of ourselves. So you never see me or Freshly or even Trip on somebody critiquing the church. We'll do that ourselves. That's wild. That's crazy. You see what I'm saying? But I want my critique to be substantive and to be objective. Okay. I want to judge righteously. And my issue with a lot of these guys is I don't want to they want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You have nothing. If these people leave what you're trying to remove them from and go to what you have, they'll have less than what they started with. Atheism, it's a failed system that doesn't have any infrastructure. Societies need infrastructure. The slaves were able to congregate at the church. That's why Black people wear their Sundays best to this day. That's where the commerce was happening. That's people getting offered jobs. That's where little Johnny, whose dad, got his leg chopped off or, got taken out by the master, was able to learn manly skills, maybe to get freedom. That's why they're able to congregate. That's why the slave master didn't let them congregate at certain times. To this day, that's when a lot of business is done at the church. A lot of people, meet their people they're going to love romantically at the church. It is something that's been around for a long time, and it'll continue to be around. Atheism has been like that. There's no symbolism, there's no rituals, because there's too many people in the atheist camp that doesn't believe that stuff exists. Now, this guy in particular, he believes that atheists have rituals. Sam Harris believes in going to study with the Buddhists and stuff like that and finding nirvana and all those kind of things in meaningful ways as an atheist. But that's not the dominant view. You see him debating other atheists who are like, yeah, you could do all that stuff, but it's meaningless. And he can't disprove them. It's a vacuous, failed worldview. And people need to see both sides of it. Don't just look at Christianity when he's pointing at it and critiquing it. Step outside of that and look at Christianity and what he's offering.
Yeah.
And just go down the line and compare the two.
Also don't look at Christianity just from his point of view, from what he's saying. Look at Christianity as a whole. He's only espousing the negative aspects of it or the failings of human beings within the faith. But look at like the whole worldview. Look at the entire picture when you're evaluating that up against what he's offering.
You know what I noticed, and you brought up earlier, Vulcan, that the debate with my son and Marquette, and Marquette made a point to my son. He said that at one time in the past, black women was married at a higher rate than white women. This is my thing when I listen to some of these guys in Red Pill, and they say, back then women was more submissive. I'm like, why don't people ask why were they more submissive? It was a religious foundation. It was Christianity. And at one time, black people was, like I said, the face of morality at the time, especially the atrocity that was going through during Jim Crow slavery. But I just thought about that. That's one of the reasons why we had stable family foundations. And when people compare the women today and to the women in the past, they don't necessarily bring up the nucleus, why that was the cause.
Guys
they've
like
already
this,
demonized that they've already demonized submissiveness as a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
guys
why
like this are playing Russian roulette with society, domestically, because there is no example of successful atheistic countries and worlds, until you could maybe say recently. And if you want to consider some of those a success, they've done some very. I know when you read the book, Martyr. I think I forgot Martyr for Christ. I can't remember the name. Torture for Christ. There we go. When they were the Soviet Union that was atheistic, and they would torture and have Christians doing communion with feces and urine, and when they would beat these people and say, "I praise God. I praise the God that I don't believe that I'm able to do this to you." The torturous nature of it that they would have to go through. And so when you have that kind of mentality, that's a part of atheism. But in audience, I don't mean that because you're atheist, you're going to do that. What I mean, there's no good reason that you can offer to not do it as an atheist. And I don't mean that in the sense of you personally. I'm saying societally. Like I said, the scientists and the philosophers have already said, there's a reason why around the world and throughout human nature, there's religion there, because it's necessary for society. It's unifying. And that same debate with Marquette, and I keep referencing my son, it was talking about part of the reason why Africa isn't as successful as a country as other places, even though it's the most resource dense continent, is because there's like 50 something countries over there and a bunch of different languages and a bunch of different religions.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 languages. It's a bunch of
conquistadors in China with communism now, or Buddhism at times, in India. They have Hinduism. They have unifying religions with unifying languages, so they can fall under one umbrella. The Africans don't have that. It's a bunch of different pagan religions out there, and a bunch of different languages, a bunch of different countries. The thing about
continent
society, for it to grow and build and people and to have society where everybody's not trying to take each other out, is they have to have a unifying belief system. You see that in the book of Eli. Talking about Denzel earlier, action movie. The guy was getting the book so he could control all the people because he needed something that was going to unify everybody. And that unification has to be based on something that's transcendent, something that's ontologically foundational for human existence.
And keep in mind, he was already the boss. He was already in charge of his area. He could have unified them. He was saying, I need something outside of myself to do the job.
For it to be sustaining, for definitely.
For it to be sustainable,
Because you got to think about
barely hold on to this place.
Well, people went to war, what they say, for God and country. Because if you tell them you're going to send people's young men off to go fight a war because Helen of Troy or whatever the thing is,
you better give them a good reason.
You got to give them a good reason, and that reason can't be some kind of human reason. I don't got no reason. What did Malcolm X or Muhammad Ali say? The Viet Cong ain't never called me no N word. You see what I'm saying? Like people gonna rebel. You're gonna have mutiny. That's where religion can be
Also, when
used
you
in a
when you
negative
base it on
way.
a person, because people are fallible, that person is eventually going to make a mistake, and that's going to lose some of the people.
Yeah. But if you
Oh,
think it's a
he
righteous
did,
cause,
yeah.
God, okay. When the human reasons fail, the eternal one continues. But do we have a scripture we wanted to pull up?
Yeah, Brad posted John 10:28 and 29.
I know he's
I
like,
think
man,
he's
I said that to y'all 30 minutes ago.
yeah. I'm gonna put this up on screen and then I'll pop this up real quick. James, you can read through it and it's
James said he
referring
wasn't gonna be
to
to
a
make it.
point. You're right, Vulcan. Let me see. Oh, got it.
So want me to go ahead and read it, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So John 10:28 through 29, I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all. No one can snatch them out of my Father's hand.
I believe this was in reference to the point we were making earlier, where it talks about you don't have to do anything to earn the love, or there's not rules on eternal love in this religion. Brad, if you're still listening, you can
Yeah, that that's
expound or confirm or
for
deny.
sure. That's very affirming. That's very reassuring, especially for people who are doubting their purpose, doubting the meaning of their life, doubting whether anybody has their back. This gives them meaning. The same meaning he's thinking that there's not there, and it's all about doom and gloom. And so come on my side where it's just nothingness and purposelessness. We can get back into the video.
By claiming that life without God is empty, hopeless, or chaotic. The best counter is not a set of arguments, but from fear. This is the strongest apologetic. Fear-driven faith thrives by claiming that life without God is empty, hopeless, or chaotic. The best counter is not a set of arguments, but a living example of joy, creativity, and purpose outside of superstition. When people see others living meaningfully without constant anxiety about damnation, it helps them imagine a life beyond the walls of fear. This is contagious freedom. Just as fear spreads, so does joy. Your own sense of flourishing becomes an invitation far more powerful than any sermon or debate. Another consideration is the language of liberation. Positioning yourself as anti-Christian reinforces the us versus them dynamic and makes believers defensive. This is why I often remind people that I'm not necessarily anti-religious, I'm anti-superstition, and you do with that what thou wilt. But framing yourself as anti-coercion and pro-human flourishing is getting closer to the point. By framing yourself as anti-coercion and pro-human flourishing creates common ground. Instead of fighting people, you're fighting fear. Instead of attacking identity, you're affirming dignity. This makes our message accessible to those on the edge of leaving who may still feel protective of their Christian identity. The goal isn't to win arguments, it's to set people free from psychological bondage. That requires a tone of invitation, not antagonism. In short, recognize Christians as people under psychological duress, not enemies. Refuse invitations framed in threats and expose the coercion beneath them. Provide bridges out, pun intended. Safe communities, normalize doubt, joyful models, and liberating language. This turns the critique of religion into a constructive path forward, not just tearing down fear, but building up freedom. So let's bring it home. Christians are living under psychological duress. Their invitations are framed by fear, not freedom. Our proper response is clarity, empathy, and boundaries. And our deeper calling is to build bridges, to create communities, normalize doubt, model joy, and speak the language of liberation unashamedly and unapologetically. The way forward is not just about exposing the chains. It's about showing the world what life looks like once the chains are gone. And when people see that, when they see freedom lived out in dignity, courage, and joy, fear loses its power. That's how we help. That's how we change lives. And that's how we keep rising. Lift Off Weekend registration is live for October, and I am absolutely excited. I'll be spending 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, you can pause it, buddy.
I think that's the end of it. Anyway. Oh, okay.
Pause it, buddy. We're not giving no atheist plugs on this show.
13.
Well, I ain't never heard Vulcan say play
So
like that in my life.
so the thing is about this, when this guy is talking about superstitions, there are many atheists who are naturalistic materialists, where they believe the only thing that exists in the natural world, the only thing that exists is the material world, things that exist within time, space, and matter. What I mean by that, for the audience out there, all the Volks out there, the Vulcans, people who like to value critical thinking, not being mentally lazy, what that means is time means it's affected by time. We know that water bottles, speakers, people, cars, the sun, the moon, they're affected by time. You know, space, they occupy space. Matter, I mean, they're made of something, one of the elements on the table of elements, right? So that's what occupies. So naturalistic materials, but that's all that exists. The mind doesn't exist. Numbers don't exist. Love doesn't actually exist. Those are emergent properties from physical things, like our brains and stuff like that. It's an illusion, that helps us to reproduce in some kind of way. So for them, that stuff, love, numbers, logic, mind, that would be a superstitious thing. So I think people need to understand that even in something like that, that's something that for a lot of atheists is superstition. He wants you to think of superstition as in your religious dogma, Jesus rise from the dead or things of that nature. Or, even some people, we go as far as even to say the historical things that we pretty much know historically happened. They would say, oh, that's just all fairy tale and myth and borrowed from other things and stuff like parallelisms and stuff like that. But everybody's going to vary on what they believe superstition is in the religious context. But for a lot of atheists, superstition is anything that's not physical. So when you think about you loving your mom, or you think about, you enjoy math, or, you have your mind, you believe you have free will. There are a lot of atheists that would say that's akin to a superstition. It's illusory. And so I think people need to understand that how these people want you to get rid of your superstition so they can give you theirs.
Yeah, that's why listening to him, I'm like, why wouldn't he want his followers or people that's listening to the video to debate their beliefs? He's telling people to avoid it. It just sounds like a cult to me. I'm like, avoid this, avoid saying this. This is superstition. Look at them as under duress. I mean, man, this is interesting, man.
Yeah, we got a clarifying comment from Brad.
He's clarifying what the scripture he posted about
the fear
earlier,
factor,
what it was about, and he's saying there's many more about salvation.
Absolutely right.
Great comment, Brad.
Yeah, and I challenge anybody out there who's listening, atheists or otherwise, like, talk to 10 different people in the church and ask them, hey, tell me your top 3 motivations to be here. See if they bring up fear. It's non-existent. And y'all's lived experience when y'all deal with religious people, how often do their fears of hell come up?
Only for like children or like early beginner Christians, but even then, not often.
Not often. If you had to give a percentage of it, what would you probably say? In all your life talking to people?
Actually, probably less than 5, if I'm being honest.
Man, that's a good question. Because I was thinking, I hear Christians talk about, but you know what? The people that talk more about,
I'm not saying talking about it. Obviously, people going to talk about it. It's in the Bible.
Yeah, I said talk. I meant to say the fear part. I hear people that's not considered
actually
Christian
having fear, experiencing fear.
Yeah, that's a low percentage.
Yeah,
that's a low, man. Man, if I had to put a number on it, man.
Man.
So that's the parishioners, but then even on the pulpit side of it,
if
we were just to go to like the top 20 sermons online right now, how much fear mongering are you going to really hear? The only time you're going to hear fear mongering, unfortunately, is when it comes to that tithe. House of the man rob God. But that ain't got nothing to do, but like, that's loosely to do. Maybe you could say hell, but really it's like, y'all better have my money. You know, so like it's even in that's more like social shaming, you know, which is not good. But you know, the Bible forbids that kind of thing. Paul would say, "Hey, give when I'm not around, so nobody feels like they have to give because I'm here." But yeah, that's what we got, y'all. I don't know if y'all have anything more. We broke the video down. Again, this wasn't meant to be a refutation of the guy's point. It was meant to just be helping people to be a little bit more open-minded about people who are skeptical of religion, dogma, Christianity specifically, because the fact of the matter is he's not offering anything better than what you already have. Historically, it's been the best. It's done the most around the world. It's continued to do the most in your own communities, whether you realize it or not. You don't have to focus on the bad all the time. We focus on the bad. We focus on the good. There's way more good happening than there is bad.
That's a good point. I still to this day haven't heard the atheist. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I haven't heard an atheist like espouse anything bad that's happened to them, like physically or even like career wise, because they were in Christianity or some other religion. It's just, I was just like, yeah, stop believing that and come out here and do nothing with me. I've never heard like Christianity cost me my job and that's why I'm an atheist, or cost me my marriage and that's what. Like I haven't heard any of that. Even from this gentleman, we don't even
this
know
religion
why
owe me $5.
Yeah.
What's that
Go ahead.
That quote, Vulcan, I know Fresh, you familiar with the author. Don't let the perfect be the enemy. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I think that's
don't let the perfect be the enemy of the
good. Nirvana fallacy. Vulcan brought that up earlier in the show. Yeah, the Nirvana fallacy. Mm-hmm. You out here trying to find perfect, and there is none. You in searching for that, you missed a lot of good.
Yeah, and I think people just have to recognize the fact that again we're dealing with human beings. There are some studies that show that if somebody's going to be a sociopath, I can't remember if it was a psychopath or a sociopath, but one of the occupations that they would like to choose is a pastor. So there is going to be gross mismanagement of positions of authority because it's an attractive position. But the Bible has ways. Yeah, but there are ways that there's checks and balances, just like judicial branch, legislative branch, executive branch. There's checks and balances in religion too. The unfortunate thing is the parishioners are typically pretty ignorant of them. They don't execute those things because they fall in love with the celebrity. But there's checks and balances. You don't have to let that be your fate to be abused by an authority. And so just keep in mind that when you read the scriptures, 1 Corinthians 5 is an excellent example of expelling the evil person from among you. There's ways to get leaders out of church. There's ways to get parishioners out of church. So
exactly.
But that's what we got for the Vulcan Soapbox. I don't know if y'all got anything. Send us your videos or emails right there. We want to break things down. We've broken down Dr. Umar Johnson, David Banner, Billy Carson, Wes Huff. And when I say breakdown, I don't mean breakdown in the sense of we tore them down. We just broke down their comments and their perspectives and their worldviews and the way to make it more meaningful, the pros and the cons. Now, then of course we might go harder than normal because a little leaven leavens the whole lump.
So you're just not going to explain that?
With the folks out there, they know what it is.
What about the other folks? What about everybody else?
Get off our channel.
Don't listen to him. We need all of y'all.
What was your favorite show again? You said your favorite character was the Vulcan. Remember that?
Yeah. Shout out to Spock. Yeah.
Man, shout out to Spock.
The only Vulcan on the show. Come on.
Yeah.
Y'all
got anything else? We good?
Yeah, I'm got it. Fine.
Hold on, one last comment from Brad. My pastor says if we ever find a perfect church, don't go. We'll just mess it up.
Yeah, facts.
You're gonna be the first person in that church too.
All right, fellas. Well, there's another one for the Vulcan Soapbox. We out.
Yeah.
I'm here to stay on my soapbox and proclaim that to the world.
On this show.
This is the hottest show on the planet right now.
What's the debate?
Ain't no debate.